The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show. Welcome back. We're talking about teenagers with jobs, kids having jobs. And if you want to call if your child is a truant and they need a job, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is The Jared Dillian Show. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillianmoney.com. That's jareddillianmoney.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at DailyDirtNap. And I did a couple other things for money when I was a kid. This is obviously before I was a teenager. But I would shovel snow for money, which was super common. Like a lot of the kids I knew would shovel driveways. And I did it for not a lot of money, like a couple bucks, $1, something like that. And I also used to wash cars. I would wash cars for money. So, I don't know if anybody does that. I'm not going to bury the lead here. Okay, I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm not going to put the punchline at the end. I'm just going to say, if you have a teenager and your teenager is 15 or older, they should probably have a job. They should probably have a job for a whole bunch of reasons. And really the last reason is because of the money. We'll get to that in a second. But I just talked about in the jobs I had when I was a kid. And I had two jobs, and one, I was a church organist, and but just, the background on that is, I started playing piano when I was 7, and I became a very accomplished pianist. And it was interesting, around age 12, I was good enough that there was some discussion between my mom and the piano teacher about, should I go to music school? Should I try to get into a school like Juilliard or something like that? And, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's in my future. But I did stay with the music, and I expressed an interest in playing the organ, and I wanted to do that as a job. So, that's what I did. It was an organ, by the way, is hard. For a lot of people, it's impossible. So, with the piano, you're using both hands. I don't know if you've ever looked at an organ, like a church organ, but if you go back and look at the keyboards down below, there's actually a keyboard for your feet. And you have to play with both hands and your feet. And it takes some getting used to, and some people just can never do it. It's a bit like juggling. And you actually have to wear dance shoes that kind of slide across the keys on the pedals. So I had to buy like a special pair of organ shoes. It's very interesting stuff. By the way, playing the organ does not pay a lot of money, as you can imagine. I mean, even organists that are like full-time organists at churches that run, they're music directors, choir directors, and all that stuff, they really do not make a lot of money. I mean, in most churches, they make like $30,000 a year, and nobody does that to get rich, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to make music a career, no matter how fun it was. But here's the thing. So we're talking about kids with jobs, and I think it's good for kids to have jobs for a bunch of reasons. And an economist would say that a teenager that gets a job is learning skills. And a lot of people think, well, flipping a burger isn't a skill. And no, it's not about the burger flipping. Like, burger flipping doesn't translate to anything else you're going to do in life. That's not the point. The point this is the skills we're talking about here. If you have a job, what is your number one responsibility for the job? What is your number one responsibility? Take a guess. You have to show up on time. That is a skill. By the way, when economists talk about job skills, that is a skill. Even for McDonald's, if they pay $7 an hour minimum wage, you have to show up on time. If you don't show up on time consistently, you cannot have a job. So that is an important skill that it teaches right off the bat, how to show up on time. And by the way, that applies pretty much to everything in your entire life. Not even just showing to jobs on time, but showing up to appointments on time and weddings on time and, Lord knows what. But basically, it teaches you to be punctual. And there are consequences if you don't do it. You get fired. So that is a skill that you will have for the rest of your life. If you're a teenager and you don't have a job, and then you go to college, and the first job you get is at age 22 and you're working for like Bank of America or something like that, and you've never learned this skill of showing up on time, you're going to be at a massive disadvantage. You're going to be at a huge disadvantage. You might think that this is like being pedantic. It's really not. Like, you have to show up on time. Basic skill. Another skill is you have to show up dressed and ready to go. I know this sounds ridiculous, but look, if you took a homeless person off the street and gave them a job at McDonald's, number one, would they be able to show up on time? No. Would they be able to be dressed and ready to go? No. That's why they call these skills. Not everybody can do these things. Obviously, 90% of people can do these things, but there's 10% that can't, which is why they don't have jobs. So, showing up on time to work and being dressed and ready to go. Two things. Third skill it teaches you is to work hard, which, should be self-evident, but some people don't really work hard in their jobs. And look, some jobs you can get away with that. Mine, I certainly can't. I can't be lazy about this. But there's some jobs where, you can kind of slack off a little bit, but in general, you can't just show up and sit there. You have to work. So now there's three things. You have to show up on time, you have to be dressed and ready to go, and you have to work hard. Now, here's the fourth thing. This isn't a skill. You get paid when you have a job. So this introduces all sorts of financial complexity. You're getting money. So it's actually more than financial complexity. It's like you are working, and in exchange for your effort and your skills, you are getting money in return, and that is the value of your labor. And you learn that there is a connection between your work and your effort and getting paid money. There is a connection. And this is where people who have never worked, they don't understand that there is a connection between work and effort and making money. By the way, this just popped into my head. I could go on this whole tangent about Andrew Yang and his universal basic income, there's nothing, out of all the Democratic candidates, honestly, I think Andrew Yang is the worst. And it's the whole basic income thing. If you literally give people money for not doing anything, then they're not going to do anything. And what is the economic value of not doing anything? Zero. I'm not going to go down that path right now. I'm not. But anyway, you get paid money, and you in exchange for your work and effort. So you figure out the connection between work and money. And finally, you learn responsibility. There are things within your control that you are responsible for. And, the responsibility varies from job to job. I've had incredible amounts of responsibility in my jobs, like insane amounts of responsibility. When I was in the Coast Guard, I was on a Coast Guard cutter, and I would be the deck watch officer, technically the person driving the ship in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. while 70 of my crew members are asleep. And the goal is not to run into anything and kill everybody. I literally had people's lives in my hand. For a 23-year-old, that is an awesome responsibility. It is an amazing, and that sticks with you your entire life. That sense of responsibility sticks with you your entire life. And that's one good thing about the military, I will tell you, is that people have incredible amounts of responsibility at a very young age. And they carry that with them for the rest of their life. Most of them do. And the other responsibility I had was when I was working on Wall Street. I was responsible for at age 28, an $8 billion portfolio, an index portfolio. So in managing $250 million of, proprietary trading, it's just insane amounts of responsibility. Now I have no responsibility. I'm just a talker. But for a lot of kids, their first job is after college at age 22. No good. They don't have any of these skills. All the things that I just mentioned, they don't have. And they're learning this for the first time. No good. Even if you get a job at a cat shelter and you clean litter boxes, you're responsible for something. It's just these little things. By the way, when I was on Wall Street, as I was leaving, this was in 2008, I worked for Lehman Brothers, and some of our competitors, some of the other banks, they would have these new hires, and they would hire these kids out of college, and then they would have Parents' Day at the bank, at their jobs. Parents' Day at their jobs. By the way, I don't want to jump into the whole minimum wage debate, but if you make the minimum wage $15 an hour, then no teenagers are getting a job because they don't have any skills. You're not going to pay somebody with no skills $15 an hour. It's not going to happen. So basically, all teenagers are not going to acquire the skills they need to function in the workforce later. It totally screws the teenage job market. I don't have any hard data on this, but I think there's some correlation between kids who have had jobs in high school and people who are successful in their careers. I think kids who worked when they were younger have gone on to have successful careers in something. And I've seen this anecdotally. I don't have any hard statistics on this. And the point of a teenage job is not to make money. That's nice to get a little spending money, gas money, whatever. But the point is to have responsibility and to take something seriously, really for the first time in your life. Even if the responsibility is something inconsequential, flipping a burger, it's something. It's absolutely something. You need to show up on time, dressed and ready to go. You have to work hard, and you have responsibility. You may think it's better. You may think it's for the best if your kids don't have to work as teenagers. You're probably not doing them any favors. I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show.
Jared Dillian. Now you know a rich guy.